for Vegas Unveiled, the live edition. You know, we say live edition even though the show is recorded because we don't rehearse or edit any of the major parts of the show. This week is Performers and Theater Week, where you're going to get a chance to meet and learn about some of Vegas's finest performers and some of our best theater companies and producers. My name is Jay Joseph from A Touch of Mystery and More Entertainment Group. I'm also a Vegas performer and an MC, and it's my pleasure to be your host for this week's installments of Vegas Unveiled.
People from all over the world flock to Las Vegas, approximately 3.5 million visitors every month. With just over 2 million residents, that means that any given day, Las Vegas is home to as many visitors as residents. And with so many great experiences available, it can be overwhelming to plan a visit. Vegas Unveiled was created to introduce to you entertainers, personalities, and business people who make Las Vegas the entertainment capital of the world. So you can learn about everything we have available and be ready for your next visit. Join us for your virtual Las Vegas adventure, Vegas Unveiled Live Edition.
Welcome to Vegas Unveiled, everyone. As I mentioned, I'm Jay Joseph, owner and also one of the actors and directors and writers of A Touch of Mystery and More Entertainment Group, and I'm your host for this week. Now, before we get to the fun, here's a little bit about me. I'm originally from Los Angeles, La La Land, and I made my way to Las Vegas via New York and Pennsylvania, where I was doing theater and summer stock. My very first performance, I started really young. I was actually 3 years old. I don't remember this at all, but my mom tells the story that we went to POP in Santa Monica, Pacific Ocean Park, and she went into a store. She turned around and couldn't find me. Nowhere to be found. She came out. I was dancing the flamenco. Yes, folks, it was my very first paid performance. At 3 years old, I collected $13 in tips on my first performance, so not too bad. I'm really excited to be here, everyone, and to host today's show because I get to introduce you to some of Las Vegas's best entertainers, and also they happen to be my good friends. And one of them is also my co-host, the fabulous Karen Michaels. Hey, Karen.
Hi, Jay. That's the greatest story ever. I am so happy to be here with you today, talking to our friends about their favorite roles and how they're keeping sane in this whole new world of ours.
Ooh, a whole new world. You know, I got to sing that song in my very first Vegas show we were doing at the Las Vegas Hilton. It was called Dancing to the Hits, and I got to be Aladdin. Now, before we get started, we want to send a big welcome to our audience around the country. Today, we're giving a shout out to the YTA viewers watching on Tacoma Public Utilities in Tacoma, Washington. Last weekend, it was reported that there was a black bear roaming the I-5 near Bellingham. Maybe he was on his way to Vancouver to see one of our guests perform. Glad everyone is safe, though.
Wow. And in case, friends, you didn't already know, you can follow us on social media at Vegas Unveiled TV. That's at Vegas Unveiled TV. And watch for the casting notices because you can be a part of our virtual studio audience for a future episode. How super fun is that?
Karen, I think it's time for us to meet our very first guest. So what do you say we bring the fabulous Amanda Kaiser in to join us? Ladies and gentlemen, hey, Amanda.
Hi.
So, Amanda, I've worked with you so many years. I've been out here 20 years now. I think we've known each other for the past 8 years at least.
At least.
You've been performing in town. Why don't you tell everybody about yourself? Because we have people watching from all over the country, and they don't know who Amanda Kaiser is, and that needs to be fixed.
So, yeah, I've been living in Las Vegas for about 15 years. So, which is way longer than I ever thought would happen. But I moved here as a performer, obviously, and started performing and did a lot of shows, some with Jay, some with Karen. So, yeah, and then I just made my living as a performer, and I traveled around a lot, and then now I teach.
Well, before we get to that, where were you born? I don't even know this.
Oh my gosh.
Where were you born and raised?
Way back. Okay.
Yeah.
So it was a cold and stormy night. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I was born in the summer. I was born July 10th in Duluth, Minnesota.
Oh my gosh.
Minnesota.
Don't you
Yeah.
know?
Same as Prince, just saying.
I'm just saying.
And then, but we didn't live there. We lived in Superior, Wisconsin, but that just was the closest hospital, I guess.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't remember. So then when I was 7, we moved to Idaho, and that's where I grew up for real.
Wow.
Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, which is beautiful and amazing.
I've heard Coeur d'Alene is gorgeous.
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
Love it.
And oddly enough, it has a great theater scene.
Ooh.
I grew up doing the most amazing theater there with some of the most professional people, some of which are on Broadway now.
Nice.
Diane Jackson, anyone know? Yeah, so I grew up with amazing people and amazing teachers, and I was really, really lucky.
That's so cool. Amanda, did you always know that you wanted to perform?
Yes.
It sounds like it.
I saw my friend in a production of Annie, and I was like, I want to do that. I could do that. And so I auditioned for the next play that they had, which was Charlotte's Web, and I auditioned, and then I got in. I was a baby cow. That was my first performance.
Well, then that brings me right to, what were some of your favorite performances?
Wow.
The baby cow. No. Some of my favorites. You know what? One of my very, very favorites that I've ever played is Sister Leo in Nonsense.
Oh.
You did that at the Las Vegas Hilton, right?
Yes. That was so much fun. What a fun show that is. And hello, easy to get ready for. You don't have to do hair. You don't got to do makeup. You just come and you put your little habit on and you're good to go.
Oh my God, I love you so much.
It's amazing.
Seriously, so much.
That was one of my favorites. And then I recently got to kick off a bucket list role a couple summers ago doing Into the Woods, and I got to play the baker's wife, which is like mind-blowing.
You were spectacular, girl.
Thank you.
Well, speaking of bucket list roles, what other shows, what are your 3 bucket list roles? I know you said there was one that you checked off, but I know you did Fiona in Shrek as well.
I did. That was so fun too.
Which I missed because I was on the cruise ship at that time, so I never got to see it, so you better have a video. But what other bucket list roles do you have?
Dot in Sunday in the Park with George.
Oh, I want to play George.
Oh, I love it. Somebody do it.
I know, no one's doing it, and I know the rights are out there.
The music is so hard. I think that's why.
Which Sondheim show isn't hard?
Right, exactly. It's Sondheim. Thank you.
0. That would be 0. You know what? I know that you said you were teaching, I think, right? So why don't you tell us about your amazing studio and how have you reimagined yourself, Amanda, during this crazy time?
It's been a roller coaster. So I opened Sing City Vocal Studio in 2017 because I knew that I wasn't going to be able to perform as much as I wanted to, just seeing the way Vegas was going and the things that I wanted to do. So I needed to find something else to add to my performing so that I wasn't so reliant on it. So voila, Sing City Vocal Studio. And actually my very first voice teacher suggested it. So thank you, Laura Dickinson.
Amen to that.
Yeah, so I started building it, and with the help of Karen, and we collaborate on a lot of things.
We do.
For our studios. And yeah, so that's been going really great. And then, 2020 came, everything just stopped, and students were scared and nervous and stressed out, and they didn't know what to do. So I think most of it was just kind of keeping my students inspired and wanting to still learn and wanting to still work on their craft when nobody knew what was going to happen.
Right.
So that was a huge thing. And actually, I didn't realize how much that I really liked teaching until I got into it. And then I really realized that this is like a definite other passion of mine besides performing. So yeah, here I am. And now, and I've, you know, put the money and the effort in to continue my vocal pedagogy learning, and I still take classes and learn from other smarter people than I am, and you know, building and building and building. So
and I actually have been to one of your recitals. It was at Karen's house that both of you had your students perform.
Yeah.
I was so impressed with that. They not only that, I loved watching you when your students were singing. You were right there. You were cheering them on. You were not only their cheerleader, but they felt comfortable. The minute there was eye contact with you, I saw that they felt comfortable. They relaxed. They went right into it. And talk about some talented kids. I'm telling you, I never had the kind of voice that I've heard some of these kids when I was that age.
Incredible, right?
I tell them all the time, like when I was growing up, I was never that kid that people were like, oh, she's going to be an entertainer. She's got to be on the stage. Never. I was shy. I was very soft-spoken. Not at all like I am now. Yeah, I was very shy kid growing up. I was never that kid that was like, she's going to make it.
Right.
Here I am. So I think I try and put that mentality into my students, and
I love that
they know that but there's room for everybody.
You know, I know that you also produce shows too, and I want to just have you take a minute and talk about a show that I got a chance to perform in over at the Onyx when it was open, and I had the best time because there are shows that have songs that are amazing and the shows completely tank.
Yes.
And you took advantage of that and made it work.
Yeah, and it was so fun, right? It's so much fun. It was called Flop, a tribute to Broadway's fabulous failures. It was just that. We were tributing them because they didn't get their chance to shine like they could have. And it may have just been a wrong time of year that they opened, you know, the different shows that they opened along with. There's so many reasons that go into a show closing right away. And we got to hear about like the bad reviews and, you know, the funny inside stories and stuff like that. So, and that's interesting that you bring that up because I have some, I think like 7 or 8 flop classes that I'm now teaching.
Oh, really?
Yes, on for kids.
Okay.
And it's on outschool.com. And we feature like a separate set of different flops each hour. So there's the Sondheims, there's the 80s, there's the books, the ones that are based on books, you know, that kind of thing. So I have been dying to get the flops back out.
Oh my God.
And so, yeah, if anybody is interested in learning about flops, look me up on Outschool.
And if anybody's interested in learning about how to get in touch with you for vocal lessons, because you're teaching them via Zoom and also live with masks on, and there's a singer's mask out now. Somebody gave a little hint out to a good friend of ours, Mary Lee Gaines, who is actually building a singer's mask, and they're wonderful. They don't suck into your mouth when you're trying to sing. It makes it easy for you to do that. Plus Broadway, all of the costumers, they created one that makes you look like Donald Duck, but I mean, it makes you, you have the room to sing. There's room, and it comes through. So if someone wants to get in touch with you to take lessons, how would they go about that?
So you could go to my website, which is just singcityvocalstudio.com, or you can just email me directly if you want, and I can send you all that fancy info. And that's just singcityvocalstudio@icloud.com.
Awesome. Well, Amanda, thanks so much for joining us. I know Karen and I could talk for hours with you.
Oh my gosh. we do, right, Amanda?
We need a whole day.
Exactly. Yes. But right now we need to take a short break.
Okay.
So don't go anywhere, folks, because when we return, we're going to talk with our second guests, Mandy Rushton and Dane Warren. So don't go away. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Vegas Unveiled. I'm Jay Joseph with A Touch of Mystery and More Entertainment Group. And today my co-host Karen Michaels and I are talking with some of the most talented people we know.
We are so lucky to know so many talented people, Jay. And here are two more. The glamorous Mandy Rushton and the dapper Dane Warren coming to us from Vancouver, BC. Oh my gosh, one of the most beautiful places ever.
So for those of you that have never met Mandy and Dane before, this is one of the reasons I wanted to bring them on the show. In 2017, I expanded A Touch of Mystery and More Entertainment Group into Seattle, Washington, and Vancouver, BC. And Mandy and Dane are two of the very talented actors that are working with the Vancouver troupe. So I've got some questions for you guys, so strap yourselves in because this is the fun part. So, I'd like to know, because I'm dual citizen as well, so I know from the U.S. to the Canadian side how that's working, but I don't know what it's been like for you guys and what you've experienced being Canadian entertainers crossing over to performing in the States. So if you can share that with us.
Definitely not as easy, I think, as we thought. There's kind of a lot of red tape that goes along with transitioning with that. It's, for some reason, it's a lot harder for us to kind of come down there and perform as far as like making sure everything works out, like legally, financially, all that, than the other way around. Yeah, so we had to deal with a lot more than we thought as far as like logistically. But you guys are so warm and welcoming.
Yeah, right? With this whole COVID thing too, I mean, it's been with extreme thanks to you, Jay, that doing these, coming up with the concept first and foremost, but pivoting with the material that you already had on hand and the actors that you have and making something really accessible to those that were really needing a good laugh and everything else. And people could watch them anywhere and kind of in whatever time zones. So doing the murder mysteries online or the corporate incentive shows as well online through Zoom have really been an eye-opening and fantastic rewarding experience for us too.
Oh yeah, eye-opening is definitely the word for it.
Oh my gosh. I mean, seriously. And well, Dane, I am so excited to hear about your Michael Buble tribute show.
Okay.
I want you to tell me how you got started doing that. I love Michael Buble, so I can imagine that you must be so perfect at that.
Oh, well, he's one of our best exports, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so living in Vancouver, he actually, grew up in Burnaby, which is kind of like a very close suburb of downtown Vancouver. So funnily enough, actually, it was through my mom and her friends. She's a big, partier. Shout out to you, Mom. But they used to go to all the clubs, all the big, all the happening kind of clubs of the time. And
where you could go out and dance?
Yeah. Go figure.
Remember those days?
And one of them was the Big Bamboo in Vancouver. And Michael used to perform there with a big band. So they used to go out and actually see him live before he was famous. And got these CDs that I think he released before he even got a label, kind of like what we do, got self-made CDs.
Sure.
And then that first album, Come Fly With Me, came out. My mom's friend is like, this guy's gonna be the next big thing. He does old music, like what you do. And then so I was kind of jealous in a way, because I was like, I've been there's a hole for this kind of era of jazz music, and if you can make it just a little bit cooler for a younger audience, I think it would be great. And then there he comes, right? And I did go to a voice coach, and for about over a year, he would always reference a former student of his, and he would say yeah, you have a very similar tone to one of my other students, and you like to do a lot of the same stuff, and but I think you have a bigger voice. Sorry, Michael. But it took me I know, it took me a year and a half to find out. He never told me who it was, and it was Michael Buble. So I learned from the same teacher. So that's kind of how that happened.
That's so cool. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
And you actually met him once.
I did, yeah. I used to work at the Sandbar. It was it's a big place in Vancouver, kind of Granville Island. It's seafood, like upper scale kind of stuff. And he was there with some theater friends of mine because we all kind of come from the same circle, like Mandy and I. We have friends that, used to date Michael and et cetera, and we're like in shows with him. I think it was the Red Rock Diner was his big touring show that was famous with the Arts Club. And so he came in with some friends of ours, and I was like, oh my God, this is so cool. And someone next door asked, like a table next to him asked him to sing a song for her, and he did it. He was very gracious and cool. So
That's awesome.
Nice.
Yeah. And Mandy, you do it all. Of course, as an Aquarian, how could you not do it all? Okay, but
Thank you, and I'm sorry.
but, you're a singer, you're an actor, you're an MC. Of all of those, where do you get the most joy? Where do you feel that you connect the most?
It depends on the event, I guess.
Has there ever been a time where you were pigeonholed and were told you had to do just one of them?
Oh, all the time. And I've always defied the rules. If people tell me no, then I creative problem solve my way to oblivion and tell people about my set ideas, and they're going, what on earth are you talking about? But that's really been my, I guess, best and most interesting curse in this life as an Aquarian. But Jay, I guess any and all of the different kind of hats that I wear. But I like to say I, as a performer, always love to transfix a space, transform a space, transform a space, transfix an audience. And when you hit those moments, nothing is better. And whether it's a song, whether it's through an interview, whether it's through, if you really kind of connect and you feel it.
Yeah.
And it's like that visceral kind of like pause in time, then you know.
Yeah. And even when you MC and when you sing, you always add in, Mandy always adds in like quirky knowledge about the history of the song or the singer or, and then not to mention the comedic moments, which are, behind the scenes as well.
Before this all started, I'm sure.
Any plans for Vegas shows? I mean, what do you think the future holds for you?
Oh, honey, the world's our oyster, except we're not allowed to travel.
Yeah.
Well, not at the moment. I mean, with COVID and, the face of entertainment is changing even here because La Rev just closed. And it's not coming back. Many Cirque shows are not coming back right now. I've heard some talk that they think it's going to be 2 to 5 years before we get back to the big shows again.
Wow.
But no, because that actually opens the door. When I moved here in 1999, the pendulum was just starting to move into what I lovingly call the land of Cirque. And all of the production shows went out the door and it became Cirque. But now I think we're looking at the opportunity of coming back into production shows and lounge acts.
And having like visited and performed with you, Jay, this last year, that's one thing that we were kind of like, we were surprised by, even though Cirque du Soleil comes from Canada, we were like, where are all the like classic Vegas acts? Like, we're quite surprised because that's where we live too. That's what we like. And, we did have the Rat Pack show was like super cool. And that was like exactly what we kind of do. So I'm glad that you mentioned that because I know that, it's rough for all these Cirque shows and all the great performers that are part of it, but it became this monster that kind of overshadowed what we thought made Vegas super cool, which is like all the different varieties of small acts and shows.
Well, even just seeing personalities. Where are the stars?
Well, I think the stars are right in front of us.
Come on.
I'm just saying.
And what a great segue because, one of the things that I know that you're doing right now you've reimagined yourselves as well, just as I did with the murder mysteries, bringing them live stream. You came up with the Mad Jazz Cafe, the Mad Jazz shows that you're doing. And that would be a show that you could easily do as a lounge act here. So tell us more about your weekly show that everyone can see on Facebook or on Twitch as well.
It was interesting because we had already changed our space, our loft in Richmond, to be like a small jazz club where, you know, we would get up maximum 20 people, right? Because we have this nice balcony that goes around overhead of us as well. But you can only get 20 people in. So we were thinking, and
this was back in February,
right?
And so many of our friends were ill.
Sick, yeah.
And whether it was COVID or not, or just, you know, the January, February blues here in wet coast of Canada.
Yeah.
Lots of people really wanted to come, but they didn't want to physically join us. And I was like, oh, there's that Facebook Live opportunity. There's Instagram TV. There's, you know, there's more than meets the eye of possibility. And our next door piano player, lucky us, actually a year this coming September will be our 1 year anniversary of ever working together. And that was for last September.
So we started selling tickets for, like, you know, just pay what you can, and then you can watch it at home. And then like literally like 2 weeks later is when everything kind of shut down. Yeah. We're like, well, we're set up for it, kind of. But honestly, if you look at like some of our first videos to where we are now, it was just
night
like
and day.
But it was a huge learning curve, right? And it was like every time we figured something out, there was something else that we had to fix or upgrade or whatnot.
Tweak.
But it's great.
We're right here with you on that.
Yeah.
If people want to come and watch your show, how do they do it? How do they go about doing it?
Well, you can go on, log on to Facebook Live. We actually have a Mad Jazz Live Facebook page now. It's all capitals at Mad Jazz Live. And so, so we have a fan page now that's been growing ever since we only started it about a week or two ago. And so you can log on there and watch on Facebook Live, or if you're personal friends of ours, it is on our personal pages as well. And then you can, if you're on Twitch, if you're super cool and you're like kind of, you know, into gaming and all that kind of stuff.
I want to check it out for the HD quality.
It's a super cool platform too, because you get all these, like, each person that you watch when you log on to Twitch has their own kind of, not emojis, but like their own kind of things that you can use to applaud or whatnot. And so that's on twitch.tv/jazzcatmusic, all one word.
And that's our neighbor and friend, piano player and technical guru, Aaron Pang.
Yeah. And then just recently now we're streaming to YouTube as well. So that's Dane Warren Entertainment. And so one of the upgrades that we did was we found a multi-streaming platform. So any of you artists out there, if you want to stream live to more than one platform at a time, the best one we found was Caster.
So far.
CASTR. And you can basically, you use their cloud to stream, so you're not limited by how fast or how good your computer is. As long as you can get the information to them without lagging, you know, they basically stream all at once to all these different locations. Up to 5 at a time.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much, guys, for joining us. We're going to have to take a quick break, and we're going to go ahead and catch our breath for a second and let you get more snacks. And when you return, we're going to be talking to our good friend, Judy Lombino. So stay right here.
Love her!
And
Judy,
don't go away. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Vegas Unveiled. I'm Jay Joseph with A Touch of Mystery and More Entertainment Group, your host for Performers and Theater Week, where we're talking to some of Vegas's best, which leads us right into our next guest. Now, I've had the pleasure of performing with and collaborating with the fabulous Judy Lombino on several shows, and she is a quadruple threat in that she acts, she sings, she dances, and does magic. Welcome to the show, Judy.
Hi, Jay. Thank you.
Judy, it's so good to see you. You look amazing.
You
Hi,
do.
Marion.
Oh, I love your background. Are you in back east right now?
Well, yes, I think so. I'm feeling the East Coast vibe.
Now, Judy, you lived in two entertainment capitals, New York and Las Vegas. What would you say are the main differences or the similarities between the two, and also the type of talent that each one offers?
The similarities are that it's still a very close-knit world in the entertainment business. And even going to New York auditions, I would run into people that I had met all over the world. And people are just kind to each other in the business, both in New York and in Vegas, I've found. It's a very, very close family, and it's very nurturing. The difference, I would say, New York very much was more geared toward the acting aspect of it, and Vegas is definitely more geared toward being more of a singer-dancer and doing more harmony singing. I've done more harmony singing, I think, in Las Vegas than I did in New York.
Wow, I love hearing about harmonies at all times, for sure. But I have to say, though, the crazy thing is, Judy, you were in some of my favorite shows. You were in Tease with my friend Stu, by the way, which was an amazing show. A lot of great performers in that show, one of my favorites. And then most recently, you were in Menopause the Musical. So I would love to hear about your experience on the Las Vegas Strip with doing those kinds of shows.
Once again, cast as an ingenue who was a bit clueless on being sexy, and pretty much the same in Menopause, where I was a bit clueless on my persona, shall we say, or my self-image. But I would say I love performing on the Strip, and it's definitely a family. You get to know people so well, and Las Vegas has been really good to me as far as that goes. And it's fabulous to perform for people all around the world. And you've realized that entertainment really brings people together, and no matter where they're from, the shows, they seem to make it cohesive. You know, no matter where they're from, they react the same.
I remember you and I actually auditioned when Le Rêve was first opening. They were going to bring out the ballroom dancers. You and I, who taught ballroom, I was at Fred Astaire, you were at Arthur Murray, I think it was.
We tangoed.
We did. And Maxim from Dancing with the Stars was there auditioning us as if I really thought I was going to make it.
Wow.
Because, you know, I'm a singer that moves well.
But, you know, you do what you do in Vegas, and some of the jobs that I've gone to audition for that I really thought I was wrong for, I happen to get, and the same in New York. So you never know. You take a chance on going to auditions, and
so true.
Who knows what they're looking for?
Exactly. And you've not only performed in New York, Las Vegas, you've also performed with your own act as well on cruise ships around the world and on the internet with the live stream Murder Mysteries with A Touch of Mystery. And now you're teaching drama to students over the internet. So I'm so excited about that. You've created this entire program. And I know today was your first day, so tell us all about it.
Actually, last year I did drama. This year I'm in music. I'm in brand new music.
Okay.
And but it looked like drama from my rooms, because I had a lot of storybooks in there. I created these like virtual classrooms for my kids that had there's a storybook room with musical books. There's a brain break room with some dance videos and things to do, and just trying to make it kind of a magical musical atmosphere for them, you know, in this time. But I'm excited. It went well today. And
we actually have someone here with us tonight that works with you on both Opera on Tap and Vegas City Opera. And I'm really excited to see her and meet her, because I've only seen her in the live show that you just sent me the other day from Facebook. So please welcome the lovely and very talented Emily Stevenson to the show. Hi, Emily.
Hello, how are you guys?
Great. So listen,
Great.
Emily, I was really impressed with your MC skills as well. I enjoyed watching you and your co-host, and also listening to you sing. And tell us something about your background and about what you enjoy most about the live stream performances and how you think they are making a difference out there right now.
So I have been performing as an opera singer for about the last 15 years, and the organization Opera on Tap. I love my industry and I love what we do, but we'd be lying to ourselves if we thought that traditional opera was going to be the most sustainable way to keep this beautiful art form. I found Opera on Tap, well, they really found me in Colorado. So we exist now in 23 chapters around the country, 3 chapters in Germany. And so our idea is to bring opera to people and places that might not understand it. We hear a lot that we think opera is boring. It really is sex, drugs, and rock and roll. It just happens to be in Italian. So a big thing with our shows is all of our singers tell you a little bit about what they're going to sing. All of our shows have themes. So we're currently in the middle of a Mozart versus Puccini battle. So doing that. Transitioning to the digital space, Opera on Tap, we've been really fortunate in Las Vegas. We've got a roster of around 20 active singers that are hungry to create and willing to experiment and willing. I love this town because every time I have a crazy idea, whether it's we're going to sing opera in our pajamas or we're going to have a gala in our house, put on your gowns, the singers are up for it. So we've had our challenges, but it's let us reach a lot of people. We've had some singers leave Las Vegas, and we can sing with our friends again in a safe way. And it's been a really great outlet. It's a crazy time. So to be able to hang out with my opera singer pod and have us all keep singing has been really delightful.
There is so much that you've done, and Emily, it sounds like you've done a tremendous amount as well. So this question goes out to both of you. If time, money, and pandemics were not a part of the equation right now, what one thing would you want to do that you haven't had the chance to do? One bucket list, not necessarily a role, but one bucket list thing that you'd like to do to share your gift. So I'm going to start with Judy. What would that be?
I think because I've had a passion for kids, and I years ago started to do a children's album, and I think that I would pursue that and do a children's recording. Awesome.
And Emily, how about you?
I would make opera in bars part of the mainstream.
How would you bring that about?
Crowd. I love that we don't take ourselves very seriously. You've seen the clip. Yeah. We're very committed to our art, but I would love to make that everywhere and let people fall in love with this art form, and then also give singers a really fun outlet, something a little untraditional. We
were talking about in the last segment about how the whole texture and everything that's coming out in regards to entertainment is completely changed with COVID, and how it may take some time to come back till we have our big shows. How would you create for the visitors coming in, and maybe not just the visitors? Would you want to do something more for locals, or would you want to do something also for the visitors to bring that whole concept together?
That's a challenging question, because we've got in Las Vegas, our visitors are such an important part of what we do. But I think that there is a local scene of people that are hungry for the arts. In my perfect world, I think we would start off locally and hopefully gain enough traction that we would kind of pop up on, fun, unexpected things to do. So I think I'd start it as a local space with the hope that that would potentially start to bring in more people as word of mouth spread.
That's awesome. And I hope you have a chance to bring that out. I want to know how we can watch the opera shows. So Emily or Judy, how can we go onto Facebook, or where else can we see them?
So if you go to facebook.com/OOTLV, so that's facebook.com/OOTLV, every live show has an event, and we push to the live stream from there. And then if you can't catch us in real time, we keep the shows up so that people can go back and watch.
Both Judy and Emily, thanks so much for joining us on this. Now, before we go, because we're going to have to take another break, because I know some people need more snacks and some more wine. Isn't that right, Amanda? I have a trivia question for you. When we come back, we're going to have everyone involved in this. But before we go to break, here is the first trivia question. What 25-year-old musician made his debut at the Hotel Last Frontier in 1944? Was it 1, Wayne Newton, 2, Liberace, or 3, Dean Martin? We're going to find out when we come back. Welcome back to Vegas Unveiled, Performers and Theater Week. Now, to finish off the show, we are going to go back to our trivia, and I asked a question right before we went to break. The first question is, what 25-year-old musician made his debut at the Hotel Last Frontier in 1944?
He's right here.
Is it this guy?
No. Okay, Amanda.
I know. Wayne Newton.
No, I thought it was him too.
Damn it.
It's Liberace.
Gee. What?
Who would have known?
Should have known. Should have known.
All right. Question number 2. What African American singer had the most popular show in Las Vegas in 1948? Was it 1, Nat King Cole, 2, Ella Fitzgerald, or 3, Sammy Davis Jr.?
I'm going to say Nat King Cole.
And you would be right, Judy. It is Nat King Cole. All right, here we go to the next question. Which iconic Las Vegas entertainer had been a soloist with the Chicago Symphony Orchestra before coming to Las Vegas to perform show tunes and boogie woogie? Was it number 1, Frank Sinatra, 2, Liberace, or 3, Duke Wellington? Frank Sinatra,
Liberace again.
Yes, it is Liberace.
Wow.
Why do you know it?
Very Liberace heavy stuff.
How do I know this? Because it's in my script.
Judy is getting all the right answers.
Which former U.S. president had their own headline show in Las Vegas? Was it John F. Kennedy, Richard Nixon, or Ronald Reagan?
Liberace.
Ronald Reagan.
Amanda.
Ronald Reagan.
Yes, it was Ronald Reagan.
She's very competitive.
All right, here's the next one. Which Las Vegas entertainer first appeared in Las Vegas in 1951 and would go on to perform here off and on for 43 years? Was it Frank Sinatra, Liberace, or Wayne Newton?
Wayne Newton.
Emily. No.
Frank Sinatra.
Yes, Frank Sinatra. Now you got the picture.
We'll get that.
There he is, right there. That's his picture. Okay, next question. Which Las Vegas performer performed with a full, oh, how nice this must have been, full 70-piece orchestra? Was that Liberace, Frank Sinatra, or Nat King Cole?
Frankie.
Nat King Cole.
No.
It's
It goes back. Well, who's left? Not Frank, not Nat. That's Liberace.
Again.
Wow.
Liberace.
Wow.
That dude was living the life.
Right? Oh, finally, not one with Liberace. Here we go. In 1964, what musical group played 2 shows in Las Vegas that drew even the most popular headliners in town as fans? 1, the Rolling Stones. 2, the Kinks. 3, the Beatles.
Beatles.
The Beatles.
Yep, that was easy. All right. How old was Elvis Presley when he first performed in Las Vegas? 1, 19, 2, 20, or 3, 21?
21.
Yes, you got, wow. You know your Elvis.
Wow.
Winner. Dinner.
You're fancy, Amanda.
I got it right.
You did get it right. Oh my gosh. All right, so here is the final question. In a review of this Las Vegas Icon's first show, Newsweek reported that the crowd sat through the show as if the performer was a clinical experiment. Ooh. Number 1, Tom Jones. Number 2, Andy Williams. Number 3, Elvis Presley.
Andy Williams.
Nope.
Liberace.
Not Liberace. It was Elvis Presley. Oh my God.
Okay.
The crowd sat through the show as if he were a clinical experiment. I guess they thought he had ants in his pants or something.
I mean,
Wow.
Karen, I think we've reached the time for today's show. I would so like to thank everyone for joining us on our first show. We're so excited to be part of it. I'd like to thank our very first guest, the wonderful Amanda Kaiser. Thanks so much, Amanda.
thank you, Mandy and Dane.
Thank you.
Mandy and Dane, thank you.
And Judy and Emily, thank you so much for joining us today. We'd like to thank you for joining us on Vegas Unveiled, and you can also follow us on social media at Vegas Unveiled TV. That's it for today, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a great day. And